Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Employment Committee, and my first as a chair. Before we start, do we mind just going around the table so we can introduce ourselves to Christine, because she doesn't really know us very well, and then I'll go on to the agenda. Thank you very much.
Hello, Christine. My name's Sonia Wilcox, and I'm the ward councillor for Albury Watson Fradley.
Hi, I'm Councillor Darren Ennis, the ward of Chasetown.
Hello, I'm Councillor Rosie Harvey-Coggins, and my ward is St John's in Lichfield.
Sorry. She knows who I am. Yeah. Christine. Hi. Phils.
Hello, I'm Mark Warfield. I'm ward councillor for Bowley Park.
Hello, I'm
Hello, I'm Sinead Cartwright and I'm a Governance Officer.
Thank you very much, everybody. So I'll go on to the agenda. First part of the agenda is apologies for absence.
We just have Russ Bragger as an apology today, Chair.
Item 2, declarations of interest. Have we any declaration of interest? Item 3, minutes of the previous meeting. I'll go through these item by item, and if anybody else got anything for accuracy, if you'd like to bring that up. Item 1, apologies for absence, declarations of interest, minutes of the previous meeting. Item 4, pay policy, which we'll be addressing again on this item. Thank you. Anybody? No? Nothing. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Just here. Thank you. Okay. The item on the agenda, gender pay gap report. The recommendation is that this is for noting. So I'll open that up to, is it Christine or yourself, Kerry, that will take in that?
I'll do a short introduction if that's okay, Chair.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. So pleased to bring to committee today the Gender Pay Gap Report for 2023. It is a statutory requirement under the Equality Act to publish our gender pay gap on an annual basis. Mandatory reporting was introduced back in 2017, and it provides a mechanism for organisations to monitor and report progress on gender diversity. Our mean gender pay gap for 22-23 is minus 4.3%. Our medium gender pay gap is minus 1.9%. So negative figures show that males have lower pay than women. In comparison to other local authorities and some of our benchmarking data, we are performing well. The mean for all local authorities was 3.6%, and the mean for West Midlands local authorities was 2.7%. We are committed to being an inclusive employer, and obviously the latest mean gender pay gap is good news. However, there is always more we could and should be doing, and the leadership team at Lichfield District Council are completely committed to being the most inclusive employer that we can be. So we review our workforce data on a regular basis, and we use mechanisms such as our 6 monthly staff survey, the employee liaison group, and a staff belonging and wellbeing group to make sure we're continually seeking feedback from our staff on how we can continue to attract and, most importantly, retain a diverse workforce. So very pleased to bring this report to you today and happy to open up for any questions or comments.
Yes, it's all very nice having it as percentages and they all look wonderful. What are they actually in cash, please?
Cash.
Yeah, what is the small point, what is the £0.5 of that pound, £100, £1,000?
No, it's not a monetary value at all.
So why
Why have the gender pay gap?
do you do it like that? There's no monetary value. What's it mean?
That's what the government require. That is what they have set out.
It means
Most
absolutely nothing.
most organisations agree with you. It is what it is.
What is more, it's said they're going to be -1.
Yeah, I mean, basically, all as they're trying to do is to make sure that employers are looking at their workforce all of the time and reevaluating all of the time and making sure that we're being fair and equal across males and females. Unfortunately, it doesn't take into account what type of business you are, whether you've got seasonal workers, whether you've got an area that particularly attracts males or females or young or old. It doesn't look at any of that. So for the vast majority of organisations, whilst it's something we have to do to be compliant with government regulations, it doesn't actually really mean an awful lot to anybody, because you have to benchmark against organisations that are within your same sort of area or industry, but it doesn't take account of any other information about those particular organisations. So there's a minimum, yes, there is, but it's about numbers, and that's what the report is giving you. It's giving you the mean and the median, but it is about numbers. It's numbers of people that you've got that are male, female, part-time, full-time, etc. And that's what it is. It's nothing to do with value of pounds or pence. It is purely numbers of how many females, how many males, are they part-time, are they full-time? So what sort of diversity have you got across your business? And that's all it's looking at.
And to add to what Christina said, the best way to look at this and the most useful way is by benchmarking that figure to others. And that helps us to understand whether generally as an organisation, and it is a blunt tool, this metric, whether generally as an organisation, we pay females less than males. And that's the best way to use it as a metric that we then benchmark ourselves against.
Are we paying a lot less? Is it less, almost the same?
So we're actually paying by a negative figure. It's suggesting that we are paying women slightly more than men.
Yeah, if it's okay, can I answer? Because I didn't think it was. It was actually quite clear, and the report was very good. You go to page 12 of the report, it says the mean average hourly rate of a female is £15.94, but a male is £15.29. So the difference there is, what's that, 65p or something like that. So that's the difference. If that's a number you're looking for, difference-wise in full-time staff. And well, that's the difference. And then on the part-time staff, it tells you the difference. So actually, we pay our males better as part-time staff, but because we have more full-time, females get paid more. So the answers are kind of in there. So I think that's what you were looking for, wasn't it? That differential issue. Yeah.
Obviously, I'll come back to that as well. You know, from our pre-meeting, I presume as well, you know, that we discussed that we have obviously got a lot of male workers within our waste, you know, recycling and waste. So the bulk of those amount of employees are going to be male in that pay gap. So I think that's where that comes from. Thank you. Anybody else got anything on there? Anybody? No? Have you? Whatever you wanted. I'll take it then. That's for noting. And we don't need to vote on that, do we? It's just a. Oh, sorry, Councillor Mears.
Just one comment. I thought that was a brilliant report, very comprehensive. It's an absolute pleasure to see such deep dive into the figures of how the leadership council is constructed. Full-time employment, 25%, but how many more part-time there are, and it just goes to show that you're encompassing what women can do within the role.
Yes, thank you.
And so just to let the committee know in terms of next steps. So following tonight's discussion, we will now submit these figures to the government portal as our final gender pay gap figures for 2023.
Councillor.
Thank you. I just wondered if there's any plans to do the same thing with race or disability. Thank you. Sorry.
There absolutely is an ambition to help us really understand every facet of diversity in our organisation. We're currently looking to scope out a spec for a new HR system, because our current HR system doesn't allow us to hold that data and then report against it in an easy to use way. And we've identified that very point that actually we absolutely need to be doing that. And we also need to work with staff, because a lot of that data isn't mandatory. So we also need to do some comms with our staff to work with them to help understand why giving us that data is really helpful and how we would use it.
Thank you. I'll go on to the next agenda, which is the pay policy. And I note that this is for approval and to give the Chief Operating Officer the delegation. So anybody got anything to bring up on that, please? Councillor Ennis.
Yeah. Just a couple of things. I wasn't part of the conversation about the policy, so I understand that. Things that I'd like to ask, and it could be simply me just not kind of getting it right. On page 27, when we were talking about apprenticeships, the one thing that I didn't quite understand was the last part of that, where it says many of our employees undertake apprenticeships are paid within the normal pay scales, but where appropriate, we pay new recruits apprenticeships in line with the national apprenticeship rate. And the part that I don't quite get is what deems appropriate. If you're going to pay some of them it, why not all of them it? And then my own personal thoughts on that is I would never follow the national apprenticeship rates anyway, because if you've got a member of staff coming in doing a job irrelevant of their age, if they're doing the job, they should be paid a fair rate to do that job. So that's my own personal view on that. But I do think it's something that we do need to look at strongly, because I think all our apprentices are amazing, and I think they should be paid the rate to say that. I don't think you should pay anybody the daft amounts the apprenticeship rates are on. I wouldn't do that myself. And then the second thing, and it might just be me not quite getting it, is on page 33 in Appendix 1. Is there a reason why the national living wage information is the 2023 data and not the 2024, if this is a 2024 statement? Thank you.
Yeah.
So good start on that last point. We will make sure that the most up-to-date data that's relevant for the 2024 statement is included. So we will double check that, and if there is more updated data, we'll include that. Anything on the apprentices you can add, Christine?
Well, on the apprentices, obviously, sometimes it will depend on what the apprentices are actually doing, what their roles are, and how what levels at which they're sort of coming in at. And I think that's sort of some of the reasoning behind using the national ones. But I've not got any other particular detail at this point, but we can go away and investigate that and come back.
That's brilliant, thank you. And if we'll come back, it's just the bit that I don't like is the bit that says deems appropriate, because that just is such a broad range of who deems it and what scale and what criteria are they using. From my perspective, you just wouldn't have that at all. And we just pay all of our apprentices a fair rate. And I think that just answers the question. We go from there. So, yeah, thank you.
I was just going to add on the apprentices, just to say, you know, the apprentices here at Lichfield District Council are doing an amazing work, and the investment that this organisation has made in the last few years has been superb, and they are absolutely a critical part of our workforce and our thinking moving forward. So yeah, we'll definitely look at that. Thank you.
That's working? I've got two questions. The first one is regarding the apprentices, back to the subject of apprentices. I'd be interested to know a breakdown of males and females and what age the apprentices are. Is there a cap on what age an apprentice can be? And also what jobs they're undertaking within the council, because I think it's interesting to see how we're effectively building our own workforce, and which departments are proving to be more appealing than others at the moment, because that's something that leads on to my next question, which we can address going forwards. And with the benefit system that we brought in earlier this year, I'd be interested to know how that's helping retain staff, because we're talking about pay and pay gaps. But one way of ensuring long-term success is to keep staff that are trained right from the grassroots all the way through. And it'd be great to hear a little bit more on how successful the benefit system is being in keeping staff.
So we can absolutely get you a breakdown of males and females in terms of apprentices. I think following full council a few months ago, we sent some further information on apprentices to previous chair. And so we can re-forward that information as well, which has a breakdown in terms of what types of apprentices they're doing, their ages and what types of area. There's always a bit of a moving piece because we are always looking at opportunities to bring in more apprentices, and as well as apprenticeships in early careers, as we've talked about, also offering apprentices for kind of a change of a career, or to help create kind of succession planning as well in some of our teams as well. So we will absolutely re-forward that information and also include that male versus female breakdown. In terms of benefits system, so private health insurance that went live in April. So we're still in early days on that one. But again, the initial feedback that we've had from staff that have started to access that service has been overwhelmingly positive as well, especially some of the key elements that they've really found useful is some of the helplines around mental health. Helplines around kind of back problems, pains and knees, getting advice and guidance, and also the online GP service. Those are the three elements in particular that staff have found, really helpful support. We rolled out the first set of annual performance bonuses. That was last summer. We will be starting the moderation process for this year's end of year performance bonuses after the election. Again, the feedback we had from the 20 members of staff who received the bonus was obviously very positive. But actually, we also received really positive feedback from managers on the moderation process itself. They really welcomed the opportunity to come and speak to leadership team about every member of the team. So leadership team sat and heard a performance review of every member of staff in the organisation. And I said the feedback we've had from managers, it was really empowering, and they felt very proud that they got to talk to us all about each member of their team. I believe our latest turnover rate, I always hate the term turnover rate, it feels a negative connotation, is approximately 10%, which again, in comparison to the rest of the sector is a fairly low percentage rate. So we will continue to monitor that really closely. Yes.
10%, which then in comparison to the rest of the sector is a fairly low percentage of written more continuous.